The three-winged flying ball. Imagine a flood wave crashing through the woods, smashing everything in its path. You wouldn't want to be caught up in that, would you? Well, someone in our story is going to find themselves in serious danger of getting soggy, but we'll find out more about that in just a bit. Our story starts in Supermalia, a magical realm with lots of superheroes and people with superpowers. Two sisters lived in this realm. Let's meet them. First of all, there's Spark. Her powers were, as her name might suggest, well, pretty fiery. She could shoot fire from her hands, which came in handy during the long cold winters of the realm, and would flicker with embers which sizzled almost as much as her temper. She was fiery in every way, and it would be a bad idea to annoy Spark. Someone who did annoy Spark fairly often was her sister, Crystal. Crystal was a quieter, calmer kind of superhero girl, but she liked to tease her sister when she could. Her powers were ice powers. She could send frosty icicles from her hands and whip up freezing winds. This came in handy in the long hot summers, and also came in handy to put out Spark's fires. They did get along, but they were super competitive. If Crystal had saved someone from a burning building, Spark had to save two people. The wise old woman of the village sighed and tutted at the squabbling girls. You'll never get anywhere fighting each other. You should work together. What? With her? Ugh. She thinks she's such hot stuff that really she's only lukewarm if you ask me. And she thinks she's such an ice queen. Really, she's an ice pig. The wise woman gave up. No good will come of you pulling against each other. Mark my words. They don't call me the wise old woman for nothing, you know. But the girls had got bored listening to the old woman and flew off to have another argument with each other. Now, something very exciting was going to happen in the town. Something that happened every year. The magic tournament. The prize was 1,000 pieces of gold, and all the superheroes from far and wide were determined to win. Spark and Crystal, who were now 17 years old, were finally old enough to take part, and you guessed it, both of them were convinced that they would be the one to win. The magician proclaimed in a very loud voice, "This year the challenge is to catch the three-winged flying ball. It is enchanted to fly high and fast, and to evade capture. Whoever captures it first will win the gold." He held a golden ball aloft, and everyone craned their necks to see its little wings fluttering away, and whoosh! It was up in the air, and away! The race was on. "I'll race you!" shouted Crystal, flying high. "You couldn't catch a cold, let alone a ball," sneered Spark back. Crystal threw her hands out and created whirling masses of snow and ice, trying to freeze the ball out of the sky. It was no use. It just flew higher and higher than ever. And the wintry wild winds drew the attention of Spark. She wasn't going to let her sister get an advantage, not at all. She thrust her hands out and flames melted the snow, flooding the forest. The girls barely noticed the floodwater as they flew higher into the sky, vying with each other in their attempt to catch the ball. "Slow, coach! Stinky! Help me! Help me!" came a shout from the ground. They stopped their quarrel and looked down. "Look! It's the wise old woman. The floodwater is carrying her away." There was no time to lose. The girls forgot their squabbles and teamed up to swoop down and lifted the wise woman to safety. And it was only just in time, as the melted snow and ice created a tsunami that swished and swooshed through the trees. But then something amazing happened. As they gently placed the wise woman on dry land, the three-winged ball appeared, perfectly still in front of the girls. Giggling in surprise, they smiled and nodded, and then both of them grabbed the ball at the same time, and there was a flourish and a fanfare and a massive burst of light. The competition had been won! There was a lot of cheering and clapping, no one more pleased than the wise woman herself. But I don't understand. Why did the ball come to us? The ball can only be caught by those of good heart. By working together to save me, you were the rightful winners, both of you. But how do you know? Well, they don't call me the wise old woman for anything, she reminded them, and they laughed in relief. The girls were sorry to have caused so much trouble, and agreed to share their winnings with the old lady. After all, her house was still very soggy and would need a lot of repairs. And from that day on, I can't say that they didn't argue at all, but now and again, they might possibly work together for a while or help someone else instead of just being full of themselves. And as a result, they lived much more happily ever after. Thank you to Pearl, who created this week's character, Spark. Pearl, thank you for giving us such a flaming, fiery hero that we could cheer on. Thank you very much for using our Storyquest Character Creator. You can get a character featured in someone else's story. Use our Storyquest Character Creator on the Fun Kids website. Get to funkidslive.com/storyquest. And now, over to this week's Story Master, it's Nitya. Well, Nitya, you sent us the idea the three-winged ball is very mysterious. What put that into your mind?
I got inspiration of the three-winged ball from the balls in the Quidditch match from Harry Potter.
What, the quaffle, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
If you were making your own sport with the three-winged ball, it can't be a quaffle, it can't be a netball. What do you imagine would happen with this three-winged ball?
You would bounce it on your head to pass to people.
What, like one of these?
Yeah.
Have a go, how would it look?
Like
one of these. And I know that you like famous five kind of stories, Enid Blyton. What do you reckon the mystery would be?
The mystery would be probably like it solves like some murder or something.
So there's a lot going on. So we've got a sport where you pass it from nodding it on your head, it can fly and it helps solve a crime.
Yes.
Well, listen, thank you so much for sending over your idea. We really loved finding out about the three-winged ball. Got an idea for a story? Tell us the title at funkidslive.com/storyquest and we could bring your story to life. For a new story each week, make sure you hit subscribe or follow so you don't miss a single episode.